Welcome to the Extreme Broadband Engineering product installation training on remote powering of the DL Data Plus amplifiers. In this video, we'll explain what is remote powering. We'll identify remote powering components, explain how to configure remote powering, and understand the importance of using the power inserter. What is remote powering? Remote powering is the ability to power the amplifier from any location where there's a cable and electrical outlet close together. Remote powering allows DC to travel in the same coaxial cable that carries RF, thus eliminating the need to run a dedicated power cable, such as with local powering. So remote powering saves time and money. Let's take a look at what components are needed for remote powering. First, we'll look at the power pack and power inserter. The power pack converts AC to 15 volts DC. All DL Data Plus amplifiers use 15 volts DC. On the power pack, there's a mounting hole at the top that is used to secure the power pack to the AC outlet with a screw. This will prevent anyone from accidentally unplugging the power pack, which would result in a loss of power to the amplifier. The power pack comes with a loss of service tag installed. This is a warning that if the unit is unplugged, the cable service will be lost. There's a green LED, which is a visible indicator that the power pack is working and has 15 volts DC. The power inserter combines the DC from the power pack with the RF on the drop, which enables DC to flow to the amplifier. The AC-DC power pack and power inserter are a team and work together. The power inserter has 3 ports. One port is labeled 2 power supply. This port is connected to the power pack and only passes DC. The port labeled 2 amplifier DC/RF is connected to the cable going to the amplifier and passes both DC and RF. The port labeled 2 TV/modem RF output is connected to the end consumer device, such as a set-top box or modem, and only passes RF. The path between the port 2 power supply and the 2 amplifier DC/RF port only passes DC. This path has high isolation and will block all other frequencies. The path between the 2 amplifier DC/RF and the 2 TV/modem RF output port will only pass RF and will not allow DC to pass through. This port is bidirectional to RF and has very low insertion loss to RF and loses less than 1 dB. Due to the power inserter's high isolation to all frequencies between the 2 power supply port and the 2 amplifier DC/RF port, any electromagnetic interference or radio frequency interference that may be picked up by the power supply will be blocked. The power inserter is designed to block this interference and only passes DC through. So the EMI or RFI will not be allowed to flow to the amplifier, where it may cause interference to services on the other RF ports, or travel through to the input port and up to drop and cause interference in the HFC network. In this example, we're showing the power pack connected directly to the RF output number 1 powering port. The interference that could penetrate the power pack travels through the cable directly to the output number 1 port. The interference will pass through the RF number 1 port to the other RF ports, where it can interfere with the services on the other outlets in the home, or also to the input port, where it can travel up the drop to the system. With the power inserter installed, it'll block any interference coming from the power pack. This also applies to powering through the VoIP modem port. Always use a power inserter when remote powering. Here we're showing the local powering option, where the power pack is connected directly to the local power port. The interference that could penetrate the power pack travels through the cable directly to the local power port. The interference is blocked by the local power port and will not cause any interference problems with the other ports. The DL Data Plus amplifiers have two options for remote powering. The first and recommended option is through the RF output number 1 port. The second and least preferred option is through the VoIP modem port. These ports are also used for RF and pass both RF and DC. These ports are identified with a label indicating remote power. Let's take a look at how remote powering works. Remote powering is the ability to power the amplifier from any location where there's a cable and electrical outlet close together. Typically, this can be any location where cable outlets are located, as the end consumer device needs power to work. Let's look at how to configure remote powering from one of the outlets. In this example, we'll remote power from the bedroom number 2 outlet. First, we'll go to the amplifier location on the side of the house and configure the amplifier. Since this is feeding a video service in bedroom number 2, we'll use the remote powering port located at RF output number 1, which is the preferred remote powering option. If we were remote powering from an EMTA or modem location, the passive VoIP modem port would be used. This is the second and least preferred remote powering option. The rest of the powering process is the same for both ports. Since the local power port doesn't carry RF, there's no need to terminate this port. Included with the amplifier are 2 service loss tags. These tags are a warning that if the cable carrying DC is disconnected, the cable service will be lost. Wrap one of the service loss tags around the cable carrying DC. Connect the rest of the cables and mount the Data Plus amplifier into the enclosure. Let's now configure the outlet location in bedroom number 2. Connect the power inserter's 2 power supply port to the power pack. Connect the cable from the wall plate to the power inserter's 2 amplifier DC/RF port. Connect the cable going to the customer premise equipment to the power inserter's 2 TV/modem RF output port. Install the other service loss tag onto the cable close to the connector connected to the power inserter's 2 amplifier RF DC port. Next, plug the power pack into the AC outlet. Secure the power pack to the AC outlet using a screw through the mounting hole at the top of the power pack. DC now flows to the amplifier. At the amplifier, before DC arrives, signal already flows from the passive data port as it's before the amplifier stage. Once DC arrives at the amplifier is now activated and RF flows to all the outlets. The remote powering configuration is complete. Let's look at the flexibility to power from any location with remote powering. With remote powering, you have the flexibility to power from any outlet location in the home. To remote power from bedroom number 1, move the cable going to bedroom number 1 to RF output port number 1 and install a service loss tag. At the bedroom number 1 location, configure the power pack and power inserter the same as we did in our example. To remote power from the family room, move the cable going to the family room to RF output port number 1 and install a service loss tag. At the family room location, configure the power pack and power inserter the same as we did in our example. Remote powering from the VoIP modem port is the least preferred remote powering option, But if you need to power from an EMTA or modem location that's connected to the passive data port, all that needs to be done at the amplifier is to install the service loss tag. At the EMTA or modem location, configure the power pack and power inserter the same as we did in our example. Let's review what we've learned in this training on remote powering of the DL Data Plus amplifiers. We explained what is remote powering, identified remote powering components, demonstrated how to configure remote powering, explained that RF port number 1 is the preferred remote powering option, and explained the importance of using the power inserter. Thank you for viewing this product installation training on the remote powering of the DL Data Plus amplifiers. For additional training topics, see our website at www.extreme-broadband.com.